guys are live.
I'm sorry, Bill, you want to go ahead and start the record? Good morning. It's Monday, April 20th, 2020, 9 a.m. This is Muscatine County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to review the agenda. Nathan moves to approve. I have a motion by Nathan. Doug will second. I have a second by Doug. We'll do a roll call vote again this week. Nathan? Aye. Doug? Aye. Scott? Who's Scott? Okay. Santos? Well, to get through the agenda, I see Santos is listed as on the line. I don't see him chiming in. And Scott was there, but I don't see him now. Well, I will vote aye, and we'll move on to the next item. Looks like Scott just rejoined us. Okay, item number 3. I just did want to make a brief comment on the agenda today. If you'll notice, we did move the public comments to the end of the agenda. We've had some hiccups the last couple of weeks with people wanting to make comments. We didn't catch them, so we try to move this to the end like most public meetings do and see if we can get everybody's comments at the appropriate time. So we have item number 3 is discussion of possible action to approve claims dated April 20th, 2020 in the amount of $624,692.54. This is Doug. I move to approve. Nathan, second. I have a motion by Doug, a second by Nathan. I'll roll call vote this again. Sorry. Scott? Can you unmute Scott? It seems like I show him muted and I see him on the call. Yeah. Maybe we'll see if we can get Scott online. Santos, are you there?
He was there, but he's having problems as well.
Okay.
I may have to restart the meeting to see if I can get the ability to allow people in, or I can just unmute. Hope that
unmuted.
Yeah, I show Scott now. Scott, are you there?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, Scott.
Okay.
Santos, are you there now?
Yeah, I can hear now. I was muted, but now I can talk.
Okay. So we're on item number 3. We had a motion by Nathan and we had a second by Doug, or I think it was...
Yeah.
I had a motion by Doug, a second by Nathan. So I'm going to go ahead through the vote again. Doug?
Aye.
Nathan?
Sorry, aye.
Scott?
I vote aye.
And Santos?
Aye.
And I vote aye myself. So that's item number 3. Item number 4 on the agenda is discussion and possible action to approve a coronavirus emergency supplemental funding program grant application in the amount of $58,304. The Chief Deputy Ardith Slight. Ardith, you're on with us this morning?
I'm here.
Did you have any comments on this, Ardith?
I don't really have any comments. Just looking back through the 39 pages that you received in your packet. First of all, I did not come up with 39 pages. That's the federal government. But 58,000 is, I think, worth completing the paperwork. You'll notice on page 204 of the financial document where the audit information is, it may not be marked correctly. I wanted to make sure that I was on the agenda, and there were some items that the county auditor helped me fill out in regards to the audit questions. And so those are all answered. And I think that unless somebody else has questions about the rest of that portion, I think the only other thing to talk about is what are we planning on doing with the money. And it's only 3 sections, overtime in case we have a breakout in the jail and need to retrain or need overtime for people who are not affected by COVID-19. And with the correctional officers, with the patrol deputies, the same thing. If we have somebody who is affected and we have to pay overtime for those people, that's what the overtime is. And if we have hours left, there's no reason that we can't be cleaning up and doing the things that we need to do to make sure that the squad cars and the transport vehicles and the cells are all clean. And that leads us to the equipment section of the budget, the aeroclave decontamination. This is a system that Muscatine Ambulance currently uses, and you'll see that on page 4 of the budget of the first year. So you have the oxide, which is on the OSHA's site to decontaminate those areas affected by COVID-19, the machine, and then the wand. It is a portable machine, so we can use it on squad cars, we can use it on rooms, we can take it to the jail if we need to. We can also use it, it's safe, just like the ambulance, but safe on the inside of a transport and or a squad. And then the only other thing that we asked for was the PPE, additional PPE for our guys at the sheriff's office, meaning gowns, gloves, shields. And then the second year it's a 2-year budget cycle, so the second year you'll see that the overtime are exactly the same. The only additional supply that we bought in the second year was some decontamination vinyl oxide solution for the aeroclave. It does have a shelf life on it, so we wanted to make sure that when we got done with the first year, we had some money for the second year to use that machine. But that's a machine that after COVID-19...
Muted.
We can certainly continue to use that machine and resupply it with the decontamination solution.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ardith or discussion on this item? If not, I'd consider a motion.
This is Santos. I'll move to approve. This is Scott. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Santos? Santos, I didn't hear that. Did you, Wesley?
I was the one that made the motion on it. That's all.
Yeah, do you want to, we're taking the vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye.
Okay, thank you, Santos. Scott?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Okay, item number 5 is discussion of possible action to approve Resolution 04-2020-01 naming depositories for the Treasurer's Office with County Treasurer Amy Zybart. Amy, I saw you were online here. You want to talk a bit about this? Okay, I don't know if Amy's having difficulty, but this is an annual thing that we do.
I believe she's only connected in through the web. She may not be dialed in.
Okay. Well, this is an annual process that we go through with banks so that the treasurer can deposit money and funds, and they have to be on this registered depository list. And generally, she reaches out to all the local banks to see who would like and how much money they would be interested in. This is an up to, not to exceed amount. So are there any questions?
I did. This is Santos. I had a question. So that's the maximum that bank will take of our funds. Is that my understanding?
That's the max. This is Nancy talking. That's the maximum. This sets the maximum that we will deposit in that bank at any given time.
Okay.
And this resolution, as compared to a year ago, increases the maximum limits for Community Bank by $3,000, iPay by $5,000, Midwest One Bank by $18,000, and South Autonomous Savings Bank by $10,000.
I think you meant million.
Million, I'm sorry. Yes, I meant million.
Are there other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, hearing no other questions, I would accept a motion.
This is Scott. I would approve. Nathan, second.
I have a motion by Scott. I have a second by Nathan. This is a roll call vote. Scott? Aye. Nathan?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Item number 6 are items with the county engineer, Keith White. Item 6A is discussion of possible action to approve various utility permits. Keith?
Good morning. We have 2 utility permits this morning. The first one is from Eastern Iowa REC of Wilton, Iowa. And they proposed bore a power line under North Mulberry at 1648 North Mulberry. And the second is from Windstream Iowa Communications of Little Rock, Arkansas. And they are proposing to place about 600 feet of copper cable from Highway 6 north to 1185 Mohawk Avenue.
Are there any questions or comments for Keith? If not, I would accept the motion.
Mr. Santos, I move to approve.
I had a motion by Nathan. How about a second on that, Santos?
I'm sorry. I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion by Nathan, a second by Santos. Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote as well. Nathan? Santos?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Item 6B is a projects update. Keith, did you want to give us an update on projects?
Quickly, not a lot of change from last week. We still don't know if Iowa Bridge is going to get started on 120th. They were still too wet last week. Down on G28, the paving project, PCI has been working on Class 13 dirt work. We're still thinking paving beginning of May, but that's still a little ways off. Did move in on Echo Avenue last Thursday to down trees, and we're planning to close the road today and get started down there. In the design world, about the only thing that's changed from last week is the seal coat plans are completed and on the shelf here. I'm just kind of holding on those for a little bit as we watch what effects the lack of travel and the lack of road use tax money might have on our budget to determine really when to pull the trigger on that. I mean, normally we'd just be go, but I guess I want to see just how much of a hit our income side takes. And that's all I have on projects, pending any questions.
Any questions for Keith? Did you have anything else this morning, Keith?
I did not.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no questions, we'll move on to item number 7. There's a brief overview of finalized plans for the Muscatine County Sheriff's Deputies Quarters additions and renovations projects with Mike Nolan from Horizon Architecture, and an action to set a public hearing on the plan specifications, form of contract and cost estimate for Monday, April 27th, 2020 at 9 a.m. Do we have Mike online here?
I'm not sure. I've got 6 callers that have called in that are just listed as callers, so I don't know if they don't have an app or aren't joined through the web portion of it. So
Unmuted.
I'm unmuting the callers now, so hopefully we can figure out which one.
That's me. I want unmuted. This is Mike. Can you hear me?
Muted.
Everybody hear me? Yes. Okay, good morning. So briefly, just going to talk through the overall. We've wrapped up the design on the project, have bid documents prepared, ready to go. Just a quick review of the scope. The primary work of the project is the addition for the semi-conditioned garage space, a new evidence storage area, and then new general storage for basically the items that were located out at the work release center. Additionally, for our meeting earlier this year, we expanded the scope to reside and add energy upgrades. The project will also a backup generator, all the necessary site work, and we are also adding accessibility, this is access and security upgrades to the building along with that, and that's probably a little bit more recent. Without belaboring everything that's going on with that, you see essentially we're going to be removing portions of the siding on the existing buildings and portions of the roof to prepare for the overbuild of the new portion. New foundations, you can see that broken out in the slab. We'll be doing all 2x6 exterior construction. We'll just use bad insulation in the garages versus spray foam. This will be just more or less a heated, want to keep it above freezing sort of space. The evidence room in those areas will get a little bit more involved. Mechanical system for both environmental conditioning and also for air quality in the specialized spaces. Additionally, we'll have a total of 5 new overhead doors to access the spaces on the upper and lower portion of the addition. The entire exterior of the building is going to be in a 2-inch insulated metal panel system. The other thing we're going to address is the primary entrance on the building is going to be replaced with a steel door that's been problematic for years. We're going to replace that with a aluminum storefront for that outside vestibule, which would be more, more durable for the long term. And then you'll see, if you go down to the totals on that, essentially we come to a total for the work of just shy of $500,000. We have a 10% for the general conditions and overhead and profit, and then we have about a 10% contingency in there. I don't know right off talking with the engineers to see if there are any things we should really consider. So the only thing I can think of is if we need to do some reflashing or repairing of the vapor barrier on the outside of the existing building. We'll have a unit cost for that, potentially something for excavation in case we run into bad soils on the site. Greenfield sites, we don't really anticipate that being an issue. The final line you'll see there is access controls, and this will be by a service contract with FSS Electronics, the provider currently of the access and the security. So this total of $40,000, what you'll see in there is card swipe for all the exterior doors, interior doors with 2-level authentication to get into the evidence storage. And there's also the JJ for new security cameras and also a server upgrade, which this is just a placeholder for right now. We need to work out the exact scope, but that would also allow for broader upgrade for across the county. So opinion of probable cost here right now, pardon me, is right around $679,000. Remember, back off about $50,000 of that for contingency. So we're sitting right around the $630,000, which I believe we had $630,000. Sure, we'll be able to say for sure in the budget going into July for this stuff.
Hey, Mike, this is Jeff. So we're addressing the issue with the airlock on the the current sheriff's office at the time?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Are there other questions or comments for Mike?
I have a question. This is Santos. Under the openings that you have, do you have any dimensions? What size of the doors are we doing for the bay doors and then for the overhead doors and outriggers?
Yes, I can get you a full set of plans. I think we decided not to for the size, to not put it out with the board packet. So if you'd like, we can distribute plans. You can get a chance to review those and perhaps send me any questions you have by email offline. Nancy, would you like me to send those directly, or is that something you can distribute to the board?
You can just send them to me. I just wanted to make sure what size doors there was going to be standard setup doors or something that we may end up changing like we did on the last job. And then my last question would be, under site and civil, what is that detailed out? It says see attachment, but there's nothing attached.
Yeah, my apologies. I'll resend it. We got to add the NEP and civil attachments to this, so I'll send that breakout to you as well.
Okay, that's all.
Mike, this is Jeff again. Thinking that the evidence storage area, there were some environmental concerns that we've addressed in that civil.
That's correct. You'll see on the drawings that there's basically an under pressurization for a certain area, and then we have a humidity controlled storage for firearms and other potentially oxidizing type of products. So yes, those are part of the package.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have other questions? questions or comments for Mike?
Yeah, this is Santos again. Could you also send the attachments that you have for the mechanical and the plumbing that says see attached under the 100,000 that you have for that, or 101?
Yes, I will add all the attachments in, and I'll get those over. My apologies for overlooking that.
Okay, so I think what's on the agenda today is to take these plans and specifications for a public hearing on Monday, April 27th at 2020 at 9 a.m. Is that still the desire of the board? If so, I would accept a motion to set that public hearing.
This is Nathan. I'll move to set the public hearing next Monday, April 27th at 9 a.m. This is Santos. I'll second it.
So I have a motion by Nathan and I have a second by Santos to set a public hearing for this project on April 27th at 9 a.m. I'm going to roll call this. Nathan?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
I do have a moment for a quick update on the maintenance building.
Sure.
Get a chance to walk the site this weekend. You know, we're continuing on with the work. Things are progressing pretty well. So interior, making pretty good progress on that. See all the exterior coming together. We did have a minor setback, or just as we did our first excavation in the right-of-way, we discovered an unknown conduit, which took us about a week to sort out. And in the end, we had Nelson Electric come over and crack the conduit open and confirm that it was actually an abandoned conduit. There will be some minor charges from Nelson to handle that. Overall, impact the schedule has probably put us about a week back. We had excavators on site to handle that. But overall, we're probably looking towards middle to end of May is projected project completion. Generally, things have moved on pretty well, but they are starting to see some impact based on COVID from the operation. So, still on track. Everything's looking good. Dan Brown, superintendent's back on site. And generally, we are keeping pace as best we can. Discussed it with Oscar. He doesn't have any issue as far as the timing. It actually works out pretty well. There was a turnover in the furniture supplier, and our order got pushed back, so it's actually not scheduled for delivery until middle to end of May. So I think at this point, we're probably looking at about a 3-week split from the original deadline before we take occupancy of that building, but that's not going to impact operations this month.
Okay, any questions on the maintenance building with Mike? And I think, Mike, we talked about scheduling a walkthrough maybe one day with the board. I know that might be a little difficult now, but.
Absolutely. Be glad to set that up. Let me talk to Dan and find out when might be, my recommendation would be potentially we go on a Saturday, just because there'll be a lot less activity on the site. But the building is open at this point. There's nothing in there that we're worried about. The doors are open if you want to go through. When it's not occupied, if you want to go through during operations, just please let me know and I'll be glad to set that up.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. And
okay, no other questions. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the April 13th, 2020 regular meeting.
This is Santos. I'll move to approve. This is Scott. I'll second.
I have a motion by Santos, a second by Scott. Any further discussion? We'll roll call vote. Santos?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Item number 9 is correspondence. Scott, did you have any correspondence this week?
I didn't have any correspondence to note per se.
Thank you. Doug?
No correspondence, Jeff.
Thank you. Santos?
No correspondence.
Thank you. Nathan?
I had an email from a county resident just expressing concern about the relationship between the, possible fallout of the virus and the measures that Iowa is taking. I thought that may have gone to everybody, but I may be mistaken in that. So, and it was addressed not just to us, but to senators, congressmen, state reps as well. So, the mayor. It was quite a broad communication. And that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. I saw that email too, and that was the extent of the correspondence from me. Okay, so moving on to item number 10, the committee reports. Nathan, did you want to start us out?
Sure, I did not have anything.
Okay. Santos?
I had the COVID update with ISAC online meeting on Friday the 17th.
Okay.
And it was with the governor and talked about contact tracing and a new task force that they're going to be putting up in front that's going to be looking at trying to help the economy move forward.
Is that it, Santos?
And that's all I have. I'm sorry. I'm leaving it there.
Scott?
On Wednesday the 15th, I had a Riverbend Transit meeting, and as you can well imagine, that's a difficult business to be in currently, and their ridership is down to 90 to 100 riders per day, but they have taken and working with pretty much a skeleton staff, and they have actually parked approximately 20 of their buses, and their maintenance staff are going through these and deep cleaning and so on and so forth. So they're really doing a nice job to keep these buses clean and sanitized, and really working hard at this and being able to transport the people in need. They're doing a great job. Also on Thursday the 16th was a Board of Health update, and the information was very good. That group is working incredibly hard at keeping everyone in the loop on what's currently going on in the county and throughout the state, and they're just doing Christy's doing a great job there, and everyone on staff. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Scott. Doug, I don't believe I called on you, did I?
No. For committee reports, there were no committees. I just talked to Kelsey Morris at the Fair Board, and she's struggling with all of our events canceled to keep things running. That's all I had, Jeff.
Thank you, Doug. I had a committee report on the 13th at the Mississippi Valley Workforce Authority. We had a conference call to talk about issues as we're pushing forward to merge Regions 9 and Region 16 in our workforce areas. And then again, we do have a weekly, on Wednesday the 15th, I had our weekly EOC call where we talked about actions and status of the COVID-19 response, and whether I would say that there's a large team of people out there communicating frequently, working hard to try to keep people informed and to keep this process under control. And they're doing a great job. Okay, next on the agenda would be items with the administration office. The first item is number 11A, would be discussion and possible action to approve and authorize publication of a notice of intent to appoint a county attorney. Discussion and possible decision, read the selection process. So Nancy, did you want to start that discussion, please?
I can. Included in your packet was a draft notice of intent to appoint a county attorney. this was based on discussion with the current county attorney and with Leslie to make sure that we were jumping through the hoops that we need to. We had to finagle a little bit because of the COVID-19 and the buildings being closed in terms of how those people who are interested reach out and access. But this notice is ready for you guys to potentially approve for publication. If you approve it today, I will get it published on Thursday. We've given a deadline of a week from Friday for people to submit if they have an interest in it. After some discussion with Alan, it's our recommendation that in terms of the selection process, that the board select one or two people to work with the county attorney to probably electronically interview the people that are interested, and then come back to the board of supervisors with a recommendation.
Nancy, are you talking about board members or just people in general?
The idea was one or two board members, and the county attorney would be the people who would be on the interview team.
Okay, this is Nathan. I'd like to participate in that group.
I think that makes perfect sense. That and I appreciate yours putting your hand up, Nathan, because I think you'd be an obvious candidate on that. Other board members, Doug, Santos, Scott, do you have any comments?
I think it's a good idea of how you're processing it, and I think Nathan would be a good candidate for that as well, too.
Do we have another board member that might be interested in working on this, I'll call it ad hoc committee?
I can volunteer, Mr. Santos.
Okay, great. That'd be fantastic. Thanks, Santos. Okay, any other questions or comments? So Nancy, just to clarify, so this, we do in fact have to have a county attorney, so we need to go through an appointment, and this does not preclude us from calling a special election. Is that correct?
This does not preclude the board from doing that?
Yes.
You certainly could, I guess you certainly could call a special election at any point before the appointment if you wanted to. There's also still the caveat that within 14 days after I publish the notice or 14 days after you make an appointment, a petition can get filed with the county auditor with the appropriate number of signatures that would trigger a special election anyway. The thing I guess I would like to notice is under this time frame, we would not have an appointment done as of the May 2nd, the date that Alan would be done. His intent is sometime in the next few days to appoint a first assistant county attorney. Right now he's operating without one, but his intent is to appoint one so that we have somebody who's the acting county attorney between the time frame when he's done and the board potentially makes the appointment.
Okay, very good. And I think, Nancy, as we discussed, or maybe Leslie, this is your area of expertise, that the special election was going to be kind of harried and difficult for people. I think to Dr. Askew's comments was how would they collect signatures in this kind of uncertain time quickly. And so this would still be on the general election, and if we appointed anybody, that would be, and then the parties could in fact convene a convention and put somebody onto the November general election. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. So I think, my personal opinion, this appears to be the best process forward for the short term, and then we can get it to the general election and let the voters decide.
This is Scott. I would agree.
Okay, so I think if we don't have any other discussion, then we would want to approve this. I'd take a motion to approve the publication of the notice of intent to appoint, and then do we want to take separate action on the ad hoc committee and that selection process, Nancy?
There's certainly no requirement that you take formal action on the ad hoc committee, but you certainly can if you want to.
No, I think we'll just, so for the motion, for the minutes today, we would look for a motion for the action to approve and authorize the publication of the notice intent to appoint the county attorney. So a motion by Santos?
This is Scott. I'll second.
A motion by Santos, a second by Scott. We'll roll call this vote. Santos?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the public, we're going to have the post of the publication. And then I think we can operate on consensus that we move forward with the selection process as described, where the Nathan and Santos will work with the county attorney to get out to people, you know, any interested applicant for this position, and then they'll come to a recommendation to the board for an appointment. Is that what everybody understands?
Sounds good to me. Yep, I'm good.
Okay, so we'll do. Seeing no other discussion, we'll move on to item 11B, is a review of the health and dental fund balance as of March 31st, 2020.
The spreadsheet was included in your packet. So as you can see, our fund is healthy. We've certainly grown the balance of it since the beginning of the year. However, as you guys know, it always goes. I know that for the month of March, we're going to have an exceptionally large, or for the month of April, we're going to have an exceptionally large expenditures, which will bring that balance back down. But we do continue to at least hold our own.
Yeah, I think it looks like our accruals and our rates, our insurance rates appear to be appropriate. Any questions by board members or comments for Nancy on this? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 11C, which is the COVID update. And I don't know if Nancy, did you have anything else?
The only thing that I would like to say relative to the COVID-19 update is that the board needs to be aware that obviously under these circumstances, Unity Public Health, which is who we contract with to provide our required public health services, is obviously incurring additional expenditures, trying to do all that they need to do to manage their responsibilities under the COVID-19. I know they have received some additional grant funding through the state of Iowa, but it's probably not going to be enough to cover all of their expenditures. So depending on what, if anything, is made available through additional assistance through the federal government, the board will certainly be looking at needing to do a budget amendment before the end of the year, and we may need to look at providing them additional funding out of our fund balance in order to cover the additional expenditures that they're incurring.
Nancy, do you have any idea of the scope or magnitude of that yet?
I do not. I had a conversation with Christy on Friday. I can tell you that through the month of March, through the end of March, they had incurred about $6,000 in additional expenditures. Christy is working with her staff to pull together some numbers, and our plan is for her to be on the board agenda next week to talk to you guys about their efforts and at least have a preliminary discussion about what financially what that looks like as of near the end of April.
Yeah, and I think for the rest of the boards, and I'm sure you've seen it in the updates, but we now have 2 long-term care facilities in Muscatine County that have COVID positive in the facilities. So that's something they're keeping a really close eye on. The state's involved, and there's lots of people working to try to mitigate that issue, but it has happened. You also noticed that the state has, if you haven't seen, the public has not seen the new website that the state put out, last week sometime, where they have much more detailed information about what's going on and where we are. I would encourage everyone to go out and look at that website. It's very, very good. And there's also a scorecard by region. And so we're in Region 5. Region 6 is north of us. Region 6, they have a 1 to 10 scale. Region 6 was put into a 10, which means they're a little bit more shelter in place kind of and separation requirements and close downs. We are currently sitting at a 9 in our region, so we're on the cusp of seeing further recommendations for isolation and shutdown. Is Eric, are you on the line? Or, well, we could talk about what the county employees do, or Brian, you may have anything you would want to share here on the COVID-19.
Hi, Jeff. This is Dan. As you indicated on the state website, statewide we have 2,902 total confirmed cases, 75 total deaths, 24,550 people have been tested, and 1,171 total confirmed case recoveries. For Muscatine County, there is 207 total confirmed cases, 4 deaths, 682 total people tested, and 57 total confirmed cases recovered. Also, as you mentioned, we do have 2 facilities in Muscatine County, long-term care facilities that do have outbreaks. Muscatine County Emergency Management is continuing to work with local public health, also with the state, addressing PPE equipment issues that they need at this time. Also, we'll be working with the hospital. Anticipated, as you indicated, where Region 5 is at a 9. There is an anticipated peak that is expected. We've been working closely with that in regards also to the COVID-19, Jeff.
Thank you, Brian.
Jeff,
Okay.
Keith here.
Yes, Keith.
If I could jump in, the governor's scale is a 12-point scale. So just so that people don't think that 10 is the end of the world, it is a 12-point scale.
Okay, I'm sorry. I guess the 10 was the next escalation beyond where we are. Thank you for that clarification, Keith.
You're welcome.
Okay, haven't seen nothing else. How about next item on the agenda is receive information from county employees. Any county employees on the line that have an item they'd like to bring before the board?
Jeff, this is Leslie, County Auditor. Just would like to remind the voters of Muscatine County that due to COVID-19, we are strongly encouraging everyone to vote absentee by mail for the primary election to be held June 2nd, 2020. The Iowa Secretary of State will be mailing absentee request forms to every registered voter later this month. You may also get one from the county website or by calling the auditor's office. For those choosing to vote on Election Day, remember that polling places have been combined and there will only be 6 polling locations available to you, so please check our website to see which polling location you are assigned to. If you should have any questions, please feel free to contact the auditor's office at 563-263-5821. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Are there other county employees?
This is Brian Wright. I do have an update on the spring flooding situation that we have right now. Currently, we are below the moderate stage. We are in minor flooding. Water is going down. Again, it's all due to any of the springtime flooding that we have. Also, in addition, the snows that we received last week, the Wisconsin, Minnesota did receive some significant snow. So we'll continue to monitor that flooding situation. And that's all I have for emergency management.
Thank you, Brian. Other county employees have anything they'd like to share this morning? Okay, the next item on the agenda is to receive comments from the public. What I'd like to do is, Bill, if you would unmute, and if anyone would like to make a comment or has a comment that or a question, if they could state your name, announce yourself, and then be respectful.
Unmuted.
So if we'll try to we don't talk over each other, and then state your issue. Thank you.
Okay, this is Edward Askew. I sent in a notice that I would like to speak.
Yes, go ahead, Ed.
Okay, I sent an email to all of the board members and to Nancy yesterday. So I just want to go over it, and these are the questions or the comments or observations. First off, I sent to the Board of Supervisors and to Nancy a copy of the Scott County personnel policy that addresses any county employee that is not elected. Okay? So any non-elected employee, what they can post and cannot post, or what are the personnel policies applying to postings. And if you go to page 34-7, I highlighted the area that applies to what we've been talking about with the jailer. And it's very interesting. This was written by a lawyer, Mary Fee, who used to run the personnel department at City of Davenport and then ran the legal department at the City of Davenport before going to the administration office for Scott County. And it says quite clearly in one of the paragraphs, state law does not give you unlimited free speech. Your comments could lead to legal action or discipline depending on context. Okay, so that's just for you all to review. Recommendations, you guys decide what you want to do. Okay, the next thing was I sent you an email chain addressing who is responsible for the termination or firing of non-elected county staff that are not specific department heads. Now, Nancy sent me back a policy for hiring, the county's policy for hiring, and that is policy, 301. And she did also point out to me that department heads fall directly under purview of the Board of Supervisors, okay, hiring and firing. But the hiring request does not really identify who is responsible for firing, who is the final decision maker on firing. So my question to Nancy and the board is, for non-elected, non-department head county staff, who is responsible for firing them? Can someone tell me that?
Jeff, do you want me to respond to that?
Yeah, we can respond around our policies. I'm not, I don't think we want to, yeah, sure.
The department head is the one who makes the determination about firing any of the staff that report to them.
Okay, so then it is the department head as the last decision maker for firing of any non-elected, non-department head county staff?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. And now let's talk about the last one, economic consequences that are now in motion against the county of Muscatine. Last week, the Board of Supervisors for Johnson County discussed the jail situation. And the conclusion they reached after a lot of talk and such among the supervisors is, number one, they're sending a letter to you, Board of Supervisors, outlining their concerns. But also, they have asked the Teamster business agent that represents jail staff to provide any other additional documentation or any interview information that he has gotten from jail staff on whether the jailer is implementing these type of reprehensible thoughts that are on his web page. Is he actually implementing these on jail staff or on jail inmates? So you guys are being observed and watched, and if it turns out that it is happening, Johnson County will no longer place any of their inmates, overflow inmates, which they pay you for, in Muscatine County Jail under the current administration. So that's number one. Number two, Scott County is following the same pathway. So there are some supervisors that just want to say, let's stop putting any of our overflow inmates into Muscatine County Jail, period, because this is the type of administrator. Other ones are investigating it. What's going to happen there? They're going to make a decision. Last of all, this has also been brought to the attention of the U.S. Marshal Services. And it's not the one in Des Moines, but the one in D.C. So we see economic impacts happening, which is basically money. Okay, at the end of the day, it's resources and revenue that is coming into the jail and then into the county from the jail that will be lost. So I'm just saying that this is something that's outside of your control of making it stop under the current situation. It's happening and moving forward. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there anyone else? Nancy, do you have somebody else indicate you want to make comment?
This is Henry Walcourt. I'd like to comment.
Okay, Henry, go ahead.
All right. First of all, while I do want to talk about the jailer situation, I want to commend the board for its handling on the vacancy of the county attorney. I think that what the board is doing is very intelligent. With the COVID situation, appointing an interim county attorney, and then you have an election in November, allows really for the full-throated kind of political debate necessary to give the voters a chance to elect somebody to what is really one of the most important offices in the county. So I highly commend the board for its actions in doing this. Referring to the jailer situation, Ed and I both attended the Scott County board meeting on Wednesday, their work meeting. As I understand it, it's the position of the Muscatine County Board that only the sheriff has the authority to deal with the jail administrator. Accepting this position, you are still left with the indirect political and budgetary influence the board has over the sheriff's department. For example, it is difficult to believe that the sheriff could ignore calls from the board for Mr. Naylor's resignation. Harry Truman defined political leadership with the phrase, "the buck stops here." For 7 years, since Mr. Naylor's original postings became public, the Muscatine County Board's position has been "no buck here." While you may or may not have legal authority to solve the problem, you do have the moral authority to speak out on the matter. The absence of a written policy of public comments by county employees causes its own problems. The rights of government employees to make comments, especially on political or policy issues, needs to be respected. At the same time, there reaches a point where an employee's comments become inconsistent with the agency's or employee's mission, and at that time it is no longer permissible. For example, an employee of the auditor's office could comment on ballot or election security with that speech protected. But would we want that employee publicly stating that the election process is a fraud and urging people not to vote? The lack of a public policy prevents both the employee and the employer from defining the boundary of protected speech by a public employee. So I urge the board to consider the adoption of a policy. In risk management, there are two types of risk, legal and business risk. At last week's meeting, Mr. Mather cut short the discussion by stating that the board shouldn't talk about the legal risks, which would be essentially litigation and employment action. But of course, those, according to the county administrator, are outside the board control. So I'm going to address my comments to the business risk of economic loss and reputational loss. When the county jail was built, and I remember working at Stanley at the time as the designer, it was built to oversized to hold prisoners from other jurisdictions. So when the board made that decision, they went into business. You now have a problem. Mr. Mayor's comments have triggered a review of the relationship with Muscatine by Johnson County, resulting in a letter that you should have or will be receiving. Ed and I have spoken with county board members from other counties, all of whom have said that knowing about these posts would make it politically and legally difficult to continue to send prisoners to Muscatine. They could face civil rights suits for abuse of inmates here once they had notice of Mr. Naylor's view, and particularly Mr. Zach Peterson's comments to the Johnson County Board that those views influence jail operations. I've been told by the Sheriff's Department employees that Mr. Naylor shares his views with the jail employees. You have also an interesting list of using customers. This is really for you lots of customers issue and using business relationships. During the COVID-19 crisis, law enforcement learned new ways of dealing with people charged with minor crimes, and the courts were sentencing, which may create a new paradigm of less people being sent to county jails in the future. My final point is that there's also a reputational loss to the county, which could be more significant. Do you really want Muscatine County to be known as a place where publicized radical anti-gay, anti-Muslim, and anti-public education views of a senior law enforcement administrator goes unchallenged? Is this what our county wants to be known for? To quote a statement by Sheriff's candidate Mike Shannon, we can do better. Does the board need to be reminded that one of the drivers in ending institutional racism in the South was public pressure not to do business in places where these types of views were endorsed or worst acted on? So I'm going to ask a simple question. Is this the kind of environment that Muscatine County wants to be known for? And with that, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Anyone else indicated an wish to comment? Nancy, did you have anybody else send you an email or note? I've seen nothing on the chat.
I did not.
Nothing for me.
Okay, hearing no others, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.